Well, in studio today, we have one of the most respected officials in college athletics, Gerald Austin, as he has been the coordinator of football officials with Conference USA for the past 14 seasons, spending 26 seasons in the NFL, and Conference USA is very lucky to have you, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, the NCAA Rules Committee meets annually, and Gerald, what were some of the biggest changes made this year?
Well, some of the changes this year is tweaking the changes that were made last year. They're on a 2-year cycle for rule changes. 2013 was the major changes, and the major change in 2013 was the targeting foul, where if a player was called for targeting, he was disqualified from the game. And the tweaking that took place this year was sometimes the player was being disqualified. He could be put back in the game after review, but the foul stayed. So the tweak was this year, if the only foul that is being enforced is the targeting, but replay determines the player did not target, now the foul goes away. So that was the major change as far as the targeting foul was concerned for 2014.
So speaking on targeting, targeting is one of those judgment calls that can completely alter the effect of the game and the outcome. So what is the difference between the initiate contact and then the make contact ruling?
Well, the targeting part, you can have a foul that would occur that might be where a player gets hit to the head, but targeting means that not necessarily intent, because we can't read intent as officials, but the appearance of intent. Leave your feet and launch. If you leave your feet and launch, you can't hit an opponent, you're going to hit them high. So if you hit them in the head, that's one of the components of targeting. The other part is if you lower your head and with the crown of your helmet, you hit a player who is determined to be a defenseless player, a receiver, a passer, or a kick returner, then that's targeting. So those are the two components of targeting.
What was the thought process behind making these changes?
The process was that it had been a 15-yard penalty, but players continued to do it. So there had to be something to change the behavior of the players. No player wants to be put out of the game and be told, I can't play anymore. The same way with a coach. My star safety is ejected in the first quarter, I don't have him for the rest of the game. So that changed the nature of how they were going to be coached and how they were going to play, so that they would be careful not to go to the head area or use the crown of their helmet.
Now, fans are all concerned about their quarterback, specifically roughing the passer. What are some of the new changes with that?
Well, the major change on roughing the passer that we did not have in college football, but that's in the NFL, and that's the low hit on a passer. And I'll say passer because anybody who sets up to pass the ball, then as a defenseless player, you can't go to the knee or below with the forcible hit to the knee or below. So that's a change that was instituted this year by the NCAA Rules Committee. If a quarterback takes the ball and he starts rolling out, he's a runner. But if he stops and sets up to pass again, now he's a passer. You cannot hit him at the knee or below.
Now, talking about player safety, another concern is pace of the play. Coaches, fans, even players have some concern in this area. What are the initiatives that y'all have taken to kind of settle this pace?
Well, all the coordinators of the football Division I on down, when we met in January, we talked about the pace of play. We wanted to get uniformity across the country, and that is how soon do we spot the ball after a play is declared over. Once a play is declared over, if the runner or the player is between the hash marks, the coach can expect the ball is going to be spotted with about 34 seconds left on the clock. If the runner goes outside the numbers where we got to bring another ball in, or you got an incomplete pass, or the runner's out of bounds, then it's going to take about 10 seconds to get the ball in. And we have instructed all of our officials, don't be sprinting to get a ball and sprint it back to the spot. We're not going to do the sprint. We'll move at a reasonable pace and get it spotted. So if it's between the hash marks, 34, 35 seconds. If it's outside the hash mark, somewhere between 29 to 31 seconds, the ball will be spotted. If you have the 29 to 31 seconds, defensive coaches were concerned about substitution. Well, you got 10 seconds to make a substitution, and you can see teams, just like we did at North Texas last night, you can see teams that are starting their subs right in as soon as the play's over because they know it's going to be about 10 seconds before the ball's spotted.
So with officials not sprinting, it gives the defensive coordinators time to alter out their players in a no-huddle offense situation.
That is correct. When they're up there ready, when the offense is up there and ready to go, this gives the defense an opportunity to switch out those defensive linemen who are exhausted.
What has been the public's reaction to all of these different changes this past year?
I think the reaction has been very positive. Player safety, everybody's in favor of the player safety. The pace of play, that satisfied the coaches that don't go at that fast pace, that they have a reasonable opportunity when they're playing an opponent that does go at that pace of play, they have that opportunity to switch out their defensive line.
Now talk more about the NCAA Rules Committee and how you can make a change every 2 years, but if it affects player safety, then you can initiate a change?
That's the guidelines for the Rules Committee. Basic rule changes only come every other year. Anything that involves player safety, it can be done any year. It can actually be done during the course of the season if they see an issue coming up that needs to be addressed.
Now you are very tenured, so what has been one of the biggest changes in your career that you have seen?
Well, when I first started officiating, if a player was approaching 300 pounds, they put him on a diet to reduce that. Linemen now, if they don't weigh 300 pounds, they put them on a diet to get them up to 300 pounds. And as they've gotten bigger, they've gotten quicker. And another thing you've seen is now in college football, 70% of plays are pass plays, when coaches in the past used to like to have a 50-50, a balance between running and passing. Now it's basically passing. And it's not just passing in this area or there, it's all over the field. So the game has opened up, the players have gotten bigger, they've gotten quicker, they have more agility, and it's made for a more exciting football game.
Now with those big boys, do you foresee player safety being a topic of discussion for years to come?
Always. Player safety will always be the #1 concern of the Rules Committee and the coordinators of football officials.
Well, thank you so much, Gerald Austin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kennedy, for having me here.